out in the final chorus that he changes the words. Instead of saying the wild horses couldn't drag him away, he's going to say wild horses will ride them someday. Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Old Men in Chairs. You know, a week or so ago, Tom MacDonald and Nova Rockafeller came out with a song called Wild Horses. I didn't care for it that much, but it did remind me of another great song of the same name. Wild Horses was written by Keith Richards and Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones, but it was first released by the country group Flying Burrito Brothers, featuring the person on the screen here, Gram Parsons, as the lead singer. Gram died very young at age 26, but he is generally acknowledged to be one of the superstars that created the whole country rock genre. He had a short turn with the Byrds, was influential in their great album, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. And then he started the Flying Burrito Brothers with Chris Hillman, another Byrds refugee. And their first album, The Gilded Palace of Sin, is one of my all-time favorite albums. In fact, very early on, when Howard was still working with me, we did a review of Christine's tunes, otherwise known as Devil in Disguise. Always disappointed that our reaction to that song never drew much of an audience. I guess Flying Burrito Brothers are somewhat a forgotten band, but Gram Parsons will never be forgotten. This was actually released on their second album in 1970, Burrito Deluxe. That was the last album that Gram participated in. He had a lot of substance abuse problems. You might be able to tell there's a bottle in that picture right there. And he would show up either drunk or stoned out of his mind at concerts and sing different songs from what the bands were playing. And finally, Chris Hillman had enough and kicked him out of the group. And Gram said, "You can't kick me out, I'm Gram Parsons," but he did. Gram went on and did some solo work after that, but then he died tragically of a heroin overdose, I believe 72. A short but great career that included probably one of his most amazing vocal performances here on this song.
It's easy to do. The things you wanted, I brought them for you. Graceless lady, you know who I am. You know I can't let you slide through my hands. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away.
So that is the first verse and the chorus. The song was eventually released by the Rolling Stones on their Sticky Fingers album about a year after the Flying Burrito Brothers released their version. The Rolling Stones were kind of overshadowed by the Burrito Brothers version, and most people agree that it's the best version ever recorded. It becomes so much part of Gram Parsons' legacy that there's been a huge debate over the years as to who actually wrote the song. Now, Gram was quite good friends with members of the Rolling Stones, especially Keith Richards, spent a lot of time with the Stones in London, actually lived with Keith for a while in France. And that was one of the reasons he got thrown out of the group, was he wanted to spend more time hanging out with the Rolling Stones than he wanted to do performing with the group. But there's an online interview you can watch in which they asked him directly, who wrote the song. And he said, well, it was Mick. Mick called me up. He said, hey, I've got this song, and played me a little bit of it. And then apparently Mick sent him the tape that the Rolling Stones had recorded, the master tapes, and asked Gram if he would add some pedal steel guitar. Well, something went wrong with the studio that night. Maybe too many drugs were being ingested. In any case, the project never got completed. But in the meantime, Gram said, hey, Mick, would you mind if I recorded this song as long as I don't release it as a single? And Mick said, okay. So that's how it came out, first by the Burrito Brothers. And of course, the steel guitarist on here is the famous Sneaky Pete, who had a short career with the Burrito Brothers, but a much longer career as a session musician in Nashville, and appeared on many, many country music songs. You also will hear in the background the piano. That was Leon Russell, who sat in on the recording session. He was never an actual member of the band, but he did play on this and a few other songs. In general, the song is a very mournful song about a love gone bad, as you can already tell, the minor key, the sadness of the vocals, the lyrics about two people that seem to be star-crossed lovers, and they've broken up, and even though they're not getting along, he still has this strong, strong feeling about her that wild horses couldn't tear them apart.
A dull aching pain. Now you decided to show me the same. No sweeping exit stage lines could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind.
By the way, I did add the captions to this version of the song. I chose this video because of pictures here of the group in their happy days. Their brief time together, a couple years is all they lasted. The band went on without Gram, but classic band was Gram on guitar and vocals, Chris Owen on bass, Sneaky Pete on the steel guitar. At this point, I think they'd add Bernie Lead on as an additional guitarist. This was the classic lineup, and actually I think the band may still be performing with none of the original members, but probably doing the old songs. In any case, if you look at those lyrics, he watched her suffer a dull aching pain, and then she decided to do the same to him. Well, at least he's admitting, well, Mick, I guess, wrote the song. He may have written it about one of his relationships. He's admitting that he was not perfect, that he did some bad things, that he caused his lady to suffer. And now he's getting payback. Now she's doing the same back to him. But even though she is doing that, he's not going to be bitter or treat her unkind, because he loved her so much that even wild horses couldn't drag them apart.
Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away.
go into the final chorus, let's think about those words. He says, I've got my freedom, but I don't have much time. Very prophetic words, because he really didn't have much time left on this earth. Maybe a couple more years. And then he says, let's do some living after we die. I'm not sure how you do that. Maybe he means after the death of the relationship, let's still enjoy each other. Good luck with that. Very, very sad song, really. And you can hear it in his voice. Very slow, mourning the loss of this relationship. And you'll notice now in the final chorus that he changes the words. Instead of saying the wild horses couldn't drag him away, he's going to say wild horses will ride them someday. He's thinking that there's hope, maybe somewhere in the future, that they might get back together and ride those wild horses.
Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses will ride them someday.
And that is the cover of the Burrito Deluxe album, the second and last album on which Gram played with the Flying Burrito Brothers. This song has been covered by many other artists. In fact, I have a version done by the bluegrass group Old in the Way, which is quite well done. But no one ever put the soul of Gram's voice into it like he did. And this stands as the definitive version. It will stand the test of time. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. As far as Tom and Nova, I think it's interesting. This is the third time that I pointed out that their songs have kind of copied other songs. He did a song called I Did It My Way, which of course I compared to the famous Frank Sinatra version. And then he did the Chocolate Shake and Fries, which I compared to the original version by Charlie Pride, Cheeseburger and Fries. I don't accuse Tom of plagiarizing, even if he did steal the title. That's very common in the music business. Everyone steals from everybody. I mean, Bob Dylan is probably the greatest songwriter ever. But people can go through his work and point out that he stole this line from this book or this poem or wherever. It doesn't matter, because as long as you're creating something that's original and unique to yourself, if you borrow a line or a title here and there, big deal. Nobody cares.